Good morning, everyone. This is Financial Literacy 101. And today I thought about alternative investments that are not so popular. You hear about these investments come along every now and again. And tax liens is one of those passive investments that you could potentially do on the side that I think that can be very, very profitable for you guys if you invest in them. The learning curve here is that tax liens are not very popular. So even though there's a lot of information, but there's not a lot of information as a guide per state on the step that you should absolutely take in order to acquire and invest in tax liens. But we'll get into the conversation. I'll try to break down the best way I know and how you can invest in tax liens. Now, first and foremost, let's look at some of the states. I hope you guys have your pen and paper out because this is one of the investments that you can absolutely diversify your portfolio on. So as I'm looking at this particular website, which is taxtitleservice.com, that's taxtitleservice.com, it says here that tax deed states are states that allow the general public to sell and invest in tax deeds. Tax deeds are legal documents that grant the owner of a property to a governing body of public municipality when the original owner is unable to pay their taxes. A person can then bid upon a tax deed in order to collect interest and penalties while the original owner continues to pay off their outstanding tax debt. Then they have option to foreclose on a property and sell it for a redeemable profit. Yes, you're hearing it. In those tax deed states, you can actually acquire the property. Now, this only happens around 2% out of 100% of the time. More times than not, meaning 98% of the time, owners of those properties pay their back taxes or pay you their back taxes so they can acquire their tax lien. Now, tax deed sales are only one type of tax sales, with others including tax lien sales and redemption deed sales. Now, here are some of the states that you guys should be looking out for if you want to invest in tax liens. Ladies and gentlemen, some investments just takes a little more time than other investments. Now, again, if you want to diversify your portfolio of investing, you should absolutely look into these states, and hopefully you live in one so it can be very, very close. Now, I'm just going to pop this up here very quickly. We have Alaska, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Kansas, Maine, Michigan, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin. Now, in my lifetime, I will give you the real. I've only bought one tax lien and I profit around about 15 to 18% when I was in Washington State. So I have very, very limited buying knowledge, but I have the knowledge that I went into and actually bought those properties. Now, when we talk about these things, ladies and gentlemen, it's important that, again, that we don't get head over heels, but it's important that you absolutely soak up this knowledge so you can absolutely involve and invest in tax liens. Now, investors can purchase property tax liens the same way actual properties can be bought and sold at auctions. Yeah, they do these things at auctions sometimes. Now, the auctions are held in a physical setting or online, and investors can either bid down on the interest rate on the lien or bid up on a premium they will pay for it. Now, the investor who accepts the lowest interest rate or pays the highest premium is awarded the lien. Buyers often get into bidding wars over a given property, which drive down the rate of return that is reaped by the winning buyer. So again, more times than not, it's probably proper for you guys to invest in unpopular properties. Because maybe you want to rehab, maybe you want to resell, maybe you want to buy, renovate, and rent. Maybe you want to buy and flip. It just depends on what you want to do. If you can actually get the property besides just having the tax lien, because more times than not, if you get into a bidding war, then that tax lien is going to become worthless. Buyers of properties with tax liens, listen, you need to be aware of the cost of repairs along with any other hidden costs that may need to pay. If they assume ownership of the property, those who then own these properties may have to deal with unpleasant tasks such as evicting the current occupants, which may require expensive assistance from a property manager or attorney. Good morning, minor to major. What's going on, big dog? Anyone who is interested in purchasing a tax lien should start by deciding on the type of property they'd like to hold a lien on, whether it be residential, commercial, undeveloped land, or property with improvements. They can then contract their city or county treasurer office to find out when, where, and how the next auction will be held. Now, another great resource is somebody who's already buying tax liens. They know all the loopholes, the gray areas, the websites, where to go, how to go, and what you should do. Now, the treasurer's office can tell the investor where to get a list of property liens that are scheduled to be auctioned, as well as the rules for how the sale will be conducted. Now, these rules will outline any pre-registration requirements, accepted methods of payment, and other pertinent details. Now, here's some tips for the tax lien buyers out there, and I invest that you guys should take some time and look into this. Besides your normal day job, besides your normal day businesses that you guys are the CEO, co-founders, and founders of, this could be another great investment, not only to make 15 to 18% profit, but also the chance and opportunity to acquire a whole entire property based upon someone not paying their tax lien. Now, buyers also need the buyer also need to do their due diligence on available properties. Now, in some cases, the current value of property can be less than the amount of the lien. Now, the NTLA, okay, the National Tax Lien Association, advises dividing the face amount of the delinquent tax lien by the market value of the property. If the ratio is above 4%, potential buyers should stay away from that property. Furthermore, there may also be other liens on a property that prevent the bidder from taking ownership of it. Now, every piece of real estate in a given state, in a given county, with a tax lien is assigned a number within its respective parcel, with respect in district. Buyers can look for these liens by number in order to obtain information about them from your county, which can often be done online. Of course, 2021, we should be living in a new age of technology. So hopefully a lot of this information is online. But I will say with some reluctantness that some of these states forego putting it online for their private investors, quote unquote. I digress. For each number that the county has a property address, the name of the owner, the assessed value of the property, the legal description, and a breakdown of the condition of the property and any structures located on the premises. I'm going to say that again because that's very, very important when you go to these offices and get this information, okay? Very important, because for each number that's associated within that county with that tax lien, the county has the property address, the name of the owner, the assessed value of the property, which is one of the most important things, the legal description, and a breakdown of the condition of the property and any structures located on the premises. Now, the main thing that you guys want to know this morning is, how do you profit from a tax lien? Well, you, the investor, are interested in locating tax lien investing opportunities should get in touch with their local tax revenue official. That's your local tax revenue official responsible for collection of property taxes. There are currently over 2,500 jurisdictions, cities, townships, and counties that sell public tax debt. Now, not every state provides for the public sale of delinquent property taxes. Now, the state does allow the public auction of the unpaid property tax bill. Investors, you, should be able to determine when and where these taxes are published for public review. Property taxes sales are required to be advised for a specified period of time before the sale. Typically, these investments list the owner of the property, the legal description, and the amount of delinquent taxes to be sold. Now, I've seen tax liens as low as $500, $1,000, $1,500. But for me, I always keep $5,000. Now, when I bought my tax lien in Washington State, I bought it around $3,500. And I think, let me do the math here, family. You know, I always have a calculator. Let me see. So if we take 3,500, 3,500 times 0.18, I think it was about 15 to 18%. So that was only $630 off that $3,500. Now, the bigger the tax lien, the bigger the profit. More times than not, if you really look into it, because investors who purchase property tax liens are typically required to immediately pay the full amount of the lien to the issuing municipality, the county, the state, whatever jurisdiction you're in all but 2 states. Listen to this. In all but 2 states, the tax lien issuer collects the principal. That's the interest and any penalties, pays the lien certificate holder, and then collects the lien certificate if it's not on file. The property owner must repay the investor. The property owner must repay the investor the entire amount of the lien plus interest. Okay. So again, if I was in a state that required the property owner to buy the lien back, so they will have to give him about $3,500 plus interest. Now, this varies from one state to another, but it's typically between 10% and 12%. Now, the investor paid a premium for the lien. This may be added to the amount that is repaid in some instances. Good morning, COL Collins. Nice to see you guys here this morning. Now, the repayment schedule usually lasts anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. That's 6 months to 3 years. In most cases, the owner is able to pay the lien in full. If the owner cannot pay the lien by the deadline, the investor has the opportunity and the authority to foreclose on their property, just as that county, that city, that state, that jurisdiction would have. Although this happens very, very rarely. Now, I went on to Google and I was just looking up some questions here for you guys. But the first thing I want to show you is some properties that you guys can absolutely look into. Not as far as location, but states. And I'm going to get into some other states as well. So if you don't see your state, don't get your panties in a bunch. All right. So first and foremost, we have Florida. Florida being one of the best states to buy property tax liens. Okay. I won't read this verbatim, but right here, Florida is a state is worth looking at for the online tax lien sales. Look into that as well, because you don't have to be actually located in Florida. As a matter of fact, I know 2 of my buddies live in Florida. So if I need a Florida address, I'm pretty sure I can use one of theirs, especially if they say, hey, man, hook me up with 1 or 2%. Now, the interest rate in Florida is 18% per year. That's 18% per year. Most counties in Florida do not have online tax lien sales. Tax sales are held once a year in May, and the interest rate is bid down quite low. Let's move on. Maryland, another state that has a default interest rate of 18% per year. And while not many counties in the state of Maryland have online tax sales, the city of Baltimore does have a very large online tax lien sale each year. Do you know why in Baltimore, they have a very large online tax lien each year? Because Baltimore is a predominantly melanated city. I digress. Moving right along, Indiana. Indiana is another state where premium is bid for tax lien, and there are a handful of counties in Indiana that do have online sales. There is a 10 to 15% penalty paid on the certificate amount depending. Arizona is one of the most popular states for online tax sales. Although they said here, they checked only 6 of the 15 Arizona have their tax sales online. Okay. And then there's some other states but I also asked a question when it came to some of the things that I think you guys may want to look into. Good morning, Jermaine Anderson. Nice to see you here today, brother. is that these are the questions that I pose to Google, and a lot of times I get some really good information that's posed in the question. Is buying tax liens profitable? And I'm gonna read these verbatim, okay? The bottom line of property tax liens can be a valuable investment alternative for experienced investors familiar with the real estate market, those who know what they are doing and take the time to research the properties upon which they buy liens can generate substantial profits over time. It states here, what states have the shortest tax lien redemption periods? No state other than Maryland. Maryland tax sales takes place in May and June each year, and a few of them are online. The redemption period in Maryland counties is one of the shortest, only 6 months. Good morning, Wendell. Nice to see you as well, brother. What states sell tax liens online? Now, according to this, you have Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Jersey, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, and South Carolina. I believe that New Jersey is one of the worst states to actually buy tax liens. You might just want to look into that if you live in New Jersey. But buying a tax lien, along with buying a property outright, listen to this one, along with buying the property outright, you can also invest in tax liens. What happens here is that you actually buy the liens at auction. You actually buy the liens at auction, pay back the back taxes, and in return, receive the right to attempt to collect that money plus interest from the property owner. Let's keep going. Is Florida a tax lien or tax deed state? Now, if you saw earlier where we went over the tax deed states, Florida was indeed on that list. And I'm going to go over that before we end here. Tax deed states auction off the real estate when property owners become delinquent. A tax lien state sells tax certificates to investors when homeowners become delinquent. Once the homeowner pays the taxes, the investor is paid off their investment plus interest. Florida is a tax deed and a tax lien state. So you have some duality there. You have double ways. You have a couple of ways to make some cash there. Now, the state that I'm currently living in is Texas. As the second largest state in the United States, what's the first largest state? Is it California? I think it's California. For some reason, I thought Texas was the largest, but think California. But who wants to buy anything in California nowadays? It's so damn expensive. But anyway, Texas have plenty of tax deed sales, also known as tax defaulted property sales. The Lone Star State's tax deed sales mean when you pay for the past due taxes, you have the right to foreclose and own the property. Come on now, Texas. Now, as an investment standpoint, I'm absolutely loving what I'm here. I was going to talk to my wife last night about this, about, hey, I think we should think about investing in tax liens because, as a matter of fact, it's much cheaper than investing in buying property or land, even though we want to buy land as well. We're not going to forego that, but this could be another stream of passive revenue that we could possibly do on the side that doesn't take that much time, okay? But there is a quite a bit of understanding and reading and referencing that we need to do before we start putting thousands of dollars in tax liens. But the one thing that I love that I told you that 98% of the time owners do buy their properties back, meaning that they pay back the back tax lien or any liens against their deeds of their home so they can have their ownership of their homes again, or at least the right to pay the bank again. But I do love the right to foreclose and own property from an investment standpoint, okay? Now, from a humanitarian standpoint, that's absolutely horrible. Now, and again, I do want to let you guys know those states that we went over in the beginning for you guys who are students of investing, and we're going to go over these so-called tax deed states. Again, let's look at this. These are the tax deed states, okay? And then again, I'm just going to read just a little bit of this. Tax deeds are legal documents that grant the ownership of a property to a governing body or public municipality when the original owner is unable to pay their taxes. This happens a lot. And unfortunately, the current situation we're in with this global situation, unfortunately, this is the time that is more profitable for people who still have jobs and money in the bank in order to do so. Because with these tax deed states, you have the right and opportunity to actually start owning properties anywhere from $500 to $10,000. Think about this: the property is worth, let's say, $150,000, and you go in with $8,000, and you win that bid. Oh my gosh! You just had a property. Don't matter if it's a structure on the property. Their property is worth $150,000. You can do anything with that property depending on the location. Then it says here that a person can bid upon a tax deed in order to collect interest and penalties while the original owner continues to pay off their outstanding tax debt. Then it says, and they have the opportunity to foreclose. They have the opportunity and option to foreclose on the property and sell it for a redeemable profit. Again, those states are Alaska, Arkansas, California, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Kansas, Maine, Michigan, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Washington, and Wisconsin, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you all for joining me here this morning. You guys have a great and wonderful Thursday. This is Financial Literacy 101. Learn money and be inspired. You guys have a great and wonderful day. I'm out.